All right, the hot debate item. Should you become a realtor if you want to be an investor? This is a common question that was brought up. In fact, this was brought up from one of you on my Instagram. I appreciate the message. It was a great question. Someone reached out to me on there. So follow me on my Instagram page if you would like to get more daily updates from me about, certain thoughts I'm having or investing techniques. But for this video, you all probably are wondering the same thing I wondered when I first started real estate investing 3 years ago. When I first started, I had no knowledge of real estate, and I had these general conceptions, okay? These ideas that, one, it would probably make sense to become a realtor if I'm going to become a real estate investor, right? Like I get to, transact real estate and all that, and it's just part of it. It's all like part of the same package, right? And two, I get access to all their resources and their networking and everything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and dispel a lot of this and explain the benefits and drawbacks of becoming a realtor, and also why I did not choose to become a realtor before, but I am doing so now. As many of you might know, I am studying for my real estate license, and I'll explain to you all the thought process I have and try to give you an answer on what you should do without saying the words "it depends," which is realistically the answer with a lot of videos like this. So first, two misconceptions I want to eliminate right now. You do not need a license to buy real estate. A lot of people think that that's what you need. In fact, that was one of the advice my aunt gave me when I first started investing. She was like, "Oh, become a realtor then." And no, you don't have to. All a realtor's license allows you to do is make a commission on the sale of a property from someone else. So you can buy and sell, perfectly normal, but if you want to make money helping someone else buy and sell, now you need a license. That's it. It's literally all it allows you to do, except for one of the benefits, which we'll go into later on, which is the MLS, many of you already know of. The second thing is, though, a realtor is an investor. That is also a misconception. A realtor is not an investor. In fact, it couldn't be further from the truth. A realtor is a salesman. An investor actually buys assets that pay him every month, over time, whatnot. So, in fact, most realtors are not investors, and most investors are not realtors. They actually have very little to do with each other and what they're looking for. So just keep that in mind. Those two conceptions, they're often misconceptions, and they're not true whatsoever. So let's go ahead into the benefits of being a realtor and why you might want to consider it. All right, so the obvious one is the MLS. A lot of people want the access to the coveted MLS, right? Like it's supposed to have all the deals and more access to better deals all the time. Well, that's not true. You're not going to get better deals. In fact, most investors actually invest off-market. They buy off-market properties using bird dogs and people to scout those deals for them. The MLS, realistically, most of what you're going to see on there, you can find on Redfin and Zillow anyway. You don't actually need MLS access. And even if you wanted to, you could get a realtor to send you listings from it with your own preferences anyway. So yes, you get access to an MLS, that's great, but not actually necessary. Next, we have market exposure. Look, you're gonna technically, with all this buying and selling and helping people buy houses and whatnot, you're gonna see what things are going for, all the prices and values in the market. But if you can't do that on your own, you're not going to make it very far as an investor. So I've been an investor for 3 years, and I've learned the different markets in Baltimore without actually becoming a realtor. But yes, if you make it your full-time job, would it happen a little bit faster? Technically so. You would know ARVs possibly a lot better. So we can keep that in mind, but most of the time you're going to be buying and selling kind of already built up houses that investors really have nothing to do with. Now, let's get into two benefits that I actually think are really benefits. And one is speedy access to deals. There is nothing more annoying than having to wait for my realtor to access a property. So I see a property on Redfin, call up Austin, my realtor, and I'm like, "Hey, I want to go see this property. He's not available for like 3 days." And if you have one of those agreements with a realtor where you can only use them as your realtor, that's going to be even more annoying. So yeah, a lot of times it is very frustrating to have to wait for a property, wait for my realtor, especially if they're on market, they're probably going to be gone in 1 day. So excellent access to deals. I think that is a solid benefit. Another solid benefit is taxes. So I'm not going to go into fully how this works, but essentially your real estate deductions that you think you're going to use on your W-2 income, kinda. There's a lot of restrictions around that if you're not what's called a real estate professional. The IRS won't allow you to deduct more than about $25,000 on your taxes. Keep in mind, I'm not a CPA. You should talk to your CPA about this, but essentially on your W-2 income, that's all they'll let you deduct. And even worse, if you make more than $150,000, you can't use any of your deductions on real estate at all towards your W-2 income. This is all not true if you're a realtor. You are not a W-2 employee. You are actually self-employed, and you are a real estate professional. How do you be classed as a real estate professional? Well, you got to spend most of your time in real estate. So for those of you thinking, oh, I'll be a realtor part-time to get that benefit, not going to happen. It's not going to work. No CPA will justify it. So, well, I don't know. Maybe you have a shady one out there, but this is, by general rule, it can't happen. So if you want to take maximum advantage of taxes, become a full-time realtor. So let's get into the downsides. And before we do, if you like content like this, definitely like the video and subscribe below. We have lots of content just like this one, and I'll answer a lot of your questions that you have is starting your own investing journey. But one of the downsides that really got to me that I just couldn't put up with was the amount of fees and hours of studying that would be required for this. So these are really two downsides kind of rolled into one. Fees. You have yearly fees, broker fees, team splits, all these different fees that realtors pay. Now, normally they just sell houses in order to make up these fees. But if you're a new investor starting out, are you really going to want to focus your time on selling houses, but at the same time, trying to buy houses for your real estate? That became frustrating to me. I also was starting this YouTube channel for myself. That was another factor I had to put in. Maybe you have other priorities. Maybe you have kids or something like that. And you're just like, I want to focus just on investing, not on transaction and sales. So that is something you have to consider. Also, there's hours and hours of classes, 60 to 120 hours of classes that you're going to have to take in order to become a realtor, continuing education requirements and stuff. And remember, none of this has anything to do with your investing. All realtors learn is about the sale of a property. They have nothing to learn about ARVs and ROIs and NOIs and whatever, all these different concepts that you have to learn, as an investor. So just keep that in mind. You're going to be studying a lot and paying a lot of money towards something that is not helping the other. Now, the other two downsides that I think are really big that really was impacting me was, one, you lose your W-2 job. So for those of you who don't know, big banks tend to trust W-2 jobs way more than self-employed unless you have been self-employed for quite a while and you can show a lot of business income. So if you're someone who's just jumping into this, you can really hurt yourself with all of your loans, noticing you're going to get denied left and right if you are a new business owner. So this is just something you need to pay attention to. If you have that W-2 job, this can be a serious problem. The other thing is it's very difficult to jump into. See, in order to be an effective realtor, you have to create deal funnels, but those deal funnels are different than the ones that investors look toward. Realtors want homeowners who want to buy houses, brand new houses and stuff that investors wouldn't even care to touch. Investors are looking for dilapidated properties that just with a little bit of work, or maybe a lot of work, they can massively raise the value. Well, a homeowner's not going to buy a property in a really dilapidated state most of the time. So, and even if it was, your commission's going to drop because now the house is worth far less in value. Remember, you only make like 3% on the sale, and 3% of $50,000 is like nothing. So keep that in mind that if you really want to become a realtor, you're going to lose two of those downsides as well. These are something you should factor in. So let's go into me. Why did I choose to become a realtor just now? Why did I not do it before? And what should you do? So my situation, I had a couple things going on. Number one, I had a job that was making $80,000 a year. And in 2 years after that, after I first started in this real estate investing stuff, I now am at $135,000. So not only am I making way too much money for me to comfortably give up, but it's realistically, I like my job. I'm very flexible and everything like that. So let's say you don't like your job and you don't make a lot of money. Well, great. Then you don't have what I call the golden handcuffs where I have to keep my job. You can jump in, become a realtor. Not a problem. It's not taking up any of your time because you're just trading, one bad job for a potentially good one. So that was one of my situations. Also, even if I decided to do it part-time, one thing in Baltimore is a lot of the property values are pretty low. So therefore, getting commissions on sales wouldn't have really been a big deal. If I had started in DC, might have been a little bit more attractive. So just note that about the commissions. That was another situation I was working with. Also, I didn't want to devote the time to becoming a realtor. For me, in my personal situation, I already been studying YouTube. I'm trying to figure out my job. I'm trying to figure out investing, which requires a whole bunch of other stuff. It just was too much going on. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have someone else do that work for me, do all that paperwork for me for the buying and selling the house. It's nice to know that whenever I want to buy a house, I don't have to do very much. So that is something that was really beneficial to me. Also, for you to think about is, do you want a mentor for free? See, if you become a realtor, then yeah, while you might be able to waive all your fees and ask still another realtor to represent you on a deal, it gets awkward. It's an awkward conversation. But if you're not a realtor, then you can talk to a realtor, like I did with my friend Austin, and they can become your mentor for free. They can guide you through properties, talk about their experiences. This is what I did. And why are they free? Well, because the seller's paying the cost of the realtor, not you, not as the buyer. So keep that in mind, that you do miss out on what could be potentially a free mentor. And that's kind of hard to come by in this business. So what if you don't want to become a realtor, but you still want some exposure to the market? What could you do instead? Well, 2 ideas for you. Number 1, property manager. Number 2, general contractor. Both of those jobs are going to be much, much more heavily weighted toward investing than the realtor side of things, which is just sales. So as a property manager, you're going to learn to manage tenants and all that. You can do this on the side. You don't even have to quit your job. Manage other people's properties, other homeowners who are just looking for cheaper commissions, and that way you can practice with their properties. Then the other thing is a general contractor. Figure out the contracting stuff. Work for someone else. This is something you can do. I chose the property management route. I'm not a big person who likes messing with tools, but if you like messing with tools and such, and you like building things, then great, learn the trades. This can help you with all of your real estate stuff, because even if you don't intend to do the work yourself later on, you'll at least know how it's done. You'll know how to interact with plumbers. You'll understand how everything interlinks and all that. So when you build a house, you'll know where you could face potential downsides. So like the video below if I helped you out with this kind of question. Obviously, the answer is, as always, it depends, but I give you a couple variables for you to think about. Subscribe below and let me know what you want to talk about next. A lot of you may have questions of, okay, what about being a title processor or a mortgage processor or all these other different variables that work with real estate? I'll cover those in other videos, and I'll talk to you in the comments section down below. Talk to you all very soon.